Your time is now to become a champion of your real estate brand. Are you ready?
Welcome to the stage. It's your moment to shine. Level up your game. Success is on the line. Okay. Your time is now to become a champion of your real estate brand. Are you ready? Let's go. The Champions Podcast starts now.
It did. But cheers.
Cheers. I don't have coffee.
Oh man. So working on some stuff getting some listings.
Yes.
Revisit of agents. Yeah, we were talking about some of the agents' production's been down. So that's what I'm concerned, just especially as we go into Q3, Q4. And I don't know what's the best way to get people motivated and to say, hey, let's sell a couple more homes and do a little bit better.
I always try to make a point that it's possible by doing it myself first. I know that that's not easy for everyone because you might not be in a position where you take listings on or you sell properties anymore. Maybe you're like a team leader or a broker and you just don't do that stuff. But for me, in the situation that I'm in with the organization here, I do still take on listings and I'm not just like 100% dedicated to the organization and bringing more agents in or training or anything like that. So I'm also an agent still because I like it. And I always find that if people aren't producing, I'll try and figure out a way to like experiment with something, whether it's like cold calling or an ad campaign or something to get listings quick and then share it with them. Like, hey, I did this. It took me this amount of time, maybe this amount of money if there was any spent at all. And this is the results I got from it. Do you want me to help you do the same? Like we just copy and paste the system kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always think that if I'm able to excel personally with my own business, I can maybe not just inspire others around me, but help them through experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. No, that's really good that you're able to do that. So I think that's key because you're seeing what's working, what's not, and then you're giving them resources to say, here, this is working. You could do the same.
Yeah, like for example, I think my last 1, 2, 3 listings came through a Facebook ad campaign. Which, as you know, I have experience in doing with other businesses that I've had.
Right.
So I do it all myself. I build up the ad myself. Here at EXP, we have Canva Pro, so I do all the creatives myself as well. And there's this ad that I did, and it was terrible. Like looking at the ad, it was terrible. You wouldn't see it in a multi-million-dollar company because it was just like a really quick, crappy design, and it was actually the best performing ad. It was just a black square with a stop sign in the middle and like a hand in the middle of the stop sign, like as if like stop gesture. And it said something like, I don't know, don't lose out on the sale of your house or something along those lines. Like just stop wasting money or stop wasting time trying to sell your house. And like that was it. There was nothing else. There was literally nothing else to it. I put some text there saying like, oh, I don't know, I'm looking for listings in the area or whatever, or I have buyers. And it was the best performing ad. And then I had it compared with other ones, which I took like designs from Canva, which looked really professional, really clean images and short form videos and stuff. And it was really cool. And that crappy little ad that I built from scratch was the best performing one. So I shared that with the group. I was like, hey, check this out. Posted it in there. And I was like, terrible image, right? Well, it worked. It got me X amount of leads. And one of them actually converted to sale. And I was like, there you go. You just never know. And whatever I do that works, I'll just share with the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to posting something's better than nothing, right?
Oh, 100%. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and it's that, and even when you look back and you're like, oh man, that looks like garbage, um,
Yeah.
it worked, because it was what it was. Obviously you've advanced since you've put that ad out there, but it's so many factors because I think that also holds people up to say, "Oh, I don't know what to do," or "I don't know what ad to put out there," and I don't yeah, whatever, and it's just, hey, you'll attract who you attract, and if you're looking for listings, you'll find people who correlate with that particular post, ad, whatever you wanna call it, and they'll connect with you. Or they'll research you and say, "Oh, wow, I like this guy or girl," and say, "I'm gonna call them and, yeah, let's get our house listed." So that I love that. I love that. So that's something, yeah, you could even take that piece and just even post about that, what you just said, for other agents to say, "Hey, post more. Show yourself, put yourself out there, and something's better than nothing."
It always is. I mean, that's exactly it. Something's better than nothing. What was funny about that ad specifically as well, I remember this, and this is interesting as well for anyone that does social media advertising. Always check your comments on the ads because sometimes people, rather than clicking on the ad, like, oh, I want to sell my home, they'll comment saying, oh, I'm trying to sell mine in wherever. Um, and they don't actually go through and sign up like on the lead form or the landing page or whatever. So always check your comments. But another reason to always check your comments, because this happened to me on that specific ad, was somebody commented on it saying, I'm trying to sell my house in Dolores, which is the next town over from me. Someone replied to that comment saying, I'm an estate agent, like real estate professional. I'll help you sell. That person then replied to their comment saying, okay, here's my number. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, this is my ad. I was like, I'm
Right.
paying for this ad and you're just stealing my business through the comment
Right.
section. So I disabled, I eliminated those comments and I was like, whoa, kind of like, so just bear in mind as well, there might be some competition out there looking at your stuff that you're paying for and
Yeah.
trying to take your business. Always check your comments on your Facebook and Instagram ads. Always.
No, that's great. That's great advice too. It's just, yeah, just stay aware. And I don't know, like with that, if like on an ad, if you could turn notifications on or anything like that, um, just so you could be
Yeah, probably.
alerted.
Yeah, I think you can. The thing is because I have access to so many different ad accounts through social media advertising business, like I just turn comments off because if not, it's
Yeah,
like every second I'm
yeah.
getting
Right,
notifications.
right.
Right? But so, but yeah, it's really interesting stuff, and I think it's important also to check if you're not selling, check your recent listings, like I don't know, your last 10 listings, where they came from, because you might find that you're actually getting more results through some kind of source that you weren't expecting to be great, but it's actually where you're getting most leads from. So then you can like focus more on there. It's like the 80/20
Hmm.
principle. Um, and yeah, but you can't just depend on like a single lead source, I don't think. I think it's bad business practice to do that. You need like I always try to tell my agents to have like a minimum of like 4 or 5 different lead sources to work through all the time. If you find one that works, then great, go more on that, but don't just depend on that because if and I read about this in I think it was .com secrets. Have you seen the Avengers with Thanos when he snaps?
Yeah,
Half the world
yeah.
disappears. If I was to depend only on Facebook advertising to get my leads, and then Thanos came around and went like that, boom, and then Facebook disappeared forever, like what would I do? I'd be left with nothing. I'd need to start from zero, working referrals, sphere of influence, or whatever. So always have multiple sources because you just never know what's going to happen. Like You might
Yep.
the internet might get destroyed one day because of World War III. I don't know. Something crazy might happen.
Are
People
you
will still
are you
have
spreading rumors? Are you spreading rumors? You got something going on? You play some bugs out there? What's going on?
let's just say there was like a nuclear holocaust and we lived underground, but for some reason people wanted to buy real estate. Well, we can't depend on internet anymore. So, what else are you going to do? So that I don't know. I always think it's good to have four or five minimum different lead sources just
Yep.
to
Yep.
keep your reach in multiple different
I think you're 100% accurate. I say that same thing. 4 to 5, I think, is
advertising. That's
ideal.
been best for me.
Well, what's that?
It's oh, hold on one sec, sorry.
I think I froze.
There we go. Okay, I'm back now, sorry. Uh I was saying that for me recently, generating leads through Facebook ads has actually been my best source, which then turns into like referrals and whatever. So
Mhm.
it's good.
That's awesome. No, that 4 to 5 lead sources, I think it's huge for anybody around the world, any real estate agent. And it's to constantly work those, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like, how do you figure out that threshold? Do you work 4 to 5 different um, lead gen programs each day, or is it one a day for 5 days a week? And that's that kind of that sweet spot. But I think there needs to be something. And like you said, once you say, hey, this one's pulling a little bit harder for me, well, cool. You could put a little bit more time. And let's say you did 5 lead sources on 5 days, right? One a day. So if one starts becoming better, well, cool. Do that twice a day and then just do a little bit of number 3, number 4, number 5. Um, but that and if you constantly work that over 3, 4, 5 years, it'll continue to snowball. And so it's just I think I think one of those lead sources should be something, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Ian, too, um, that may not be in your comfort zone. Why not have something a little different that you could kind of plug into a little bit, right? Maybe it's a video, maybe it's just a social media post, maybe it's a call, I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
but if you've got 4 solid that you're super comfortable with and number 5 is like, at first you're gonna probably be like, I don't wanna do number 5." I understand. We all have that hesitation. We have that fear of rejection, we have that fear of, what if they don't answer, but what if they do answer, and what if they say yes? That's
that's
that's where
that's
you wanna change your mind, right? And,
yeah,
flip that script where it's not, "What if they yell at you?" What if they accept? And what if they love you? And what if they want to sell and buy with you? How awesome is that? So, um, it's a constant evolvement of your mindset in real estate, but having those 4 to 5 resources, it's gonna be huge. Those lead gen resources I'm referring to, I think it's definitely huge, if you're watching this out there and you don't know what lead gen systems are out there, connect with a team leader, a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, and figure that out. Contact us. So I just did my impact meeting a couple of weeks ago for the Champions org, and I gave a list of 30 different online lead sources that are like referral style. You know,
yeah.
plug into those. Are all 30 going to work? I don't know. They're all going to be a little different. And you get the lead, and then once you close it, you got to pay a referral fee for it. But it's no upfront cost. You've got to work the lead though too. So you got to understand the process of what that
Yeah,
entails. It's not just a gimme, hey, it's going to fall in my lap. No, you've got to work all this stuff.
that's
Um,
huge.
right? So there's ways to get out there to make it happen, and it relies on you. You in general. I'm not talking to Ian. I'm talking about you, the viewer. It relies on you. So make it happen. That's what I got.
Also, I agree that you should definitely try something that takes you out of your comfort zone. Mainly because if you're in real estate for a year, let's say, and you're struggling and maybe you haven't made any sales yet, and you're kind of just getting burnt out and you're kind of thinking whether it's going to be worth carrying on for another year. Um, if you were to sit down sincerely with yourself and say, did you try everything to get clients? I doubt that you could say, yes, I tried everything, because if you're scared of making cold calls or you're scared of working your sphere of influence because for some reason you don't want anyone to know you're a real estate agent, um, or whatever, you're scared of like doing videos or whatever it is. If you're at the point of total failure, it's probably because you didn't do everything that you could have done to get clients. And like you said, you just never know where that next um like that next call that you make might be a yes, and it might be a yes that turns into like three referrals and way more business in the future. You just don't know. So it's always about making that one extra call or one extra message or one extra video or whatever it is. But I think, yes, you should definitely have one that puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit, because that's just growth at the end of the day. And it means that you're doing things that other people might also be afraid to do. So you're better than them. So if I make, let's just say I make, I don't know, 300 phone calls in a month. I don't know. I'm just making numbers up here. And there's somebody else that does cold calls and they made 415 a month. They're better than me. They might not be as good of a realtor and they might not provide the best service and they might just be thinking about all the money and they're selfish and they might do a terrible job, but they're going to get the business because they're just putting in more work. So put in the work and do something that is going to help you grow and get better, and always do one more than maybe you'd planned on doing, because that next one might be the one that
Hmm.
blows things up.
Yeah. And a couple things. Love that. Wherever you're at in your real estate journey, think of it as a marathon. You're not going to make a whirlwind happen overnight. It's a marathon. You're not going to be the absolute best on day one. And if you are, good for you. Um,
Screw you.
but look at that. If you have that one, and again, I use video because so many people don't like video. If you start that today, just like your ad that you put up there, and I also look at, my first video of how horrible it was.
Yeah.
Right, right, you laugh because 'cause you've seen your first video too,
Yeah.
right? You get it. It's not gonna be great, but you know what? It's something better than nothing, and then you build on it, and you become better, and you know what? Like, if you're a student of the game, you continue to learn as I've done videos, I've learned how to pause a little bit more and talk a little bit better and slow down so people could understand me and look at the camera the right way and do all this, have the right background, the lighting, whatever it is, it's all starts clicking. And so over, and maybe that's 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 3 years, that it takes you to figure that stuff out, but that's real estate. It's all a marathon. You're not gonna be good, but you have to reach out and connect with the right people to put the things in place to help you. And like we were saying, even if it's calls, do you have scripts? Are you objection handling? All that stuff. It's not just, hey, I'm making calls and all that stuff. That's where I'm going to challenge you with what you said, Ian. Hey, somebody who made 415 calls is better than making 300 calls. Maybe, maybe not. I would challenge on the conversion rate. If that person
Uh,
did 415 calls and they only made one connection and zero appointments, and yet 300 calls made 10 connections and five appointments. Well, their 300 is being more efficient. They're knowing who to call, they're making a connection, and they're going for the appointment. I could call
That's true.
400 people every day, but if I'm not connecting with anybody, am I calling the right people? You know? So that's where you have to look at it. So that's gonna be that caveat on the call structure because you gotta know who you're calling. And what I like to do too is if you're having 5 conversations about real estate a day, no matter how many calls, I stopped. I used to, I make calls. I used to always track the amount of calls. Now I track my calls, but I'm more focused on my contacts
Yeah.
because I need 5 contacts a day. I actually try to get 10 because I'm hungrier for business. So I'm trying to get 10 contacts a day. And that's talking about real estate. And that could be via text, but I also want phone calls too. I want a kind of combination of it. But you want to have that connection because again, if I'm making 400 calls a day with 0 contacts, I'm going nowhere, right?
Mhm.
And so you've gotta make connections. So that's where I'm gonna challenge people who are wanting to make calls or maybe not wanting to make calls to call the right people and have the right conversations. So it takes so much. People don't get it. It's not just one and done. So much work goes into this stuff.
It's huge. And also kind of tying back into what we were talking about before. Track what you're doing because just like Jason said, it's track your calls, track your conversations, your contacts, obviously your conversion rate to how many listing appointments that turns into and whatever else the conversion is from there on to sales and whatever. But don't just track like, oh, the 300 cold calls that I made. Also track and compare to other lead sources. So because it could be we were talking about one guy doing like 400 odds and then another guy doing 300 and who's better, whatever. But if it's the same person, the conversion could be way higher with one lead source than it is with another, but you're doing 300 calls a day when that's actually not your highest converting lead source. But you're just doing that because that's what we do, and it's like it's like being busy and being productive, right? It's the calls is taking up a lot of time in your day, and it is good work, I guess. But if you can see that your lead gen from social media is converting way better, maybe spend some more time there and increase your
Yep.
conversion, even if it's for a while, and just test and see. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, right? It's just kind of like testing scripts, testing outreach messages, testing lead sources, testing everything. That's pretty much what we do to try and get clients. Anyone that's in sales, really.
Yep. It is. No, I think you're spot on with all that stuff, and I feel like you're talking to me because that's kind of where I'm at with everything as well.
Me too. Yeah.
You've got y being busy versus being productive, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's just kind of my own little rut that I'm in. I'm like, "Hey, I'll call expireds, but nobody answers." So cool, I make 100 calls. Cool, I
Right.
wasted I wasted 55 minutes or whatever it takes me, an hour. Um, eh Again, if you're in these ruts, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Get you in the right direction. We all get there. And whether it's early on, middle of your business, end of your business, we're all there. So no, I appreciate the words of wisdom.
Yeah. And it's something that everyone goes through as well. Like you said, it doesn't really matter where you are with it. Everybody kind of goes through these ruts of things not working or I don't know, and it feels like everything's seasonal also. So like you might be extremely good at cold calling and then all of a sudden like the cold calls aren't working anymore and you're like, what's happened? Like why was it working before and not anymore? Like what's the difference? What's changed? And yeah, if you're honest with yourself, maybe you will sit down and actually look into what's changed and what is different. Maybe it's your tonality or the way that you come across. Maybe you got too cocky and got overconfident, and now you just sound like an asshole over the phone or something like that. Yeah, it could be your head. You could be going through stuff that has nothing to do with the business, and it's just like affecting how you come across to others. Um, Sit down and really think about this and have a conversation with yourself to see really if you are doing everything that you can to excel. Not everything that you can in the sense that I need to do everything. I need to do ads, I need to do calls, I need to do messages and this and this and this and this and this. Don't spread yourself too thin. What I mean is, are you just going to keep doing the same thing that's not working over and over and over and over again and then complain about it? Because you don't have a right to complain about it if you're not doing anything different. So I think that's where a lot of people give up. They don't admit to themselves that what they're doing is not working. They just think that because someone else is doing it, it must work for me. And that's not
That's
always the case.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Mic drop
Yeah.
moment right there, brother.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you've seen it as well. I see it with people that join the organization and then leave after like 6 months or leave after a year and no production. And it's just kind of like the same patterns that you see over and over again. When you're working with other agents in that way and you're trying to help them and see what's going on and whatever. I mean, coaches will see it all the time, I can imagine. You see these patterns in people.
Yeah.
And you get if you're experienced with it enough, it'll get to a point where you speak with an agent and you'll be able to kind of pinpoint, well, I think this is the problem. Although you don't want to admit it, or this might not sound helpful to you right now, it might be like a hard truth or a hard pill to swallow, but I think this is what's wrong. And you just tell them straight kind of thing. So that's where all this is coming from. It's not necessarily, I mean, it is my own experience, but it's also the experience of others that I've seen come and go as well. Not just the ones that leave, but the ones that are also doing great.
Mm-hmm.
You can compare their experience as well and just kind of contrast it and see what they're doing that the guy that's leaving hasn't done. Like what's the difference? What makes a great
Yep.
agent?
Yep. Totally. It, you've hit the nail on the head, man. I don't think we can say much more than that. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. You have to
It's
do those things, follow those trends, and not only when you're making whether it's calls or your outreach, whether it's social media, videos, whatever, track that. Just like you said, what are your where are you getting those leads from? Know your sources so that way it could come into place. And we've talked about it before with Claude AI, where you could probably build that out to say, hey, here's my top 5 lead gens that I want to work on. I need one particular tracking hub, if you will,
yeah,
and I need all 5 different columns, and line it up. Let Claude build this for you, and so that way you could track it. You could date it, and you could say, hey, on uh, this date, I did a Facebook ad that ran 7 days. My results, were this. I got 15 leads. I got 1 appointment out of it. Cool. I made calls. And if you're making calls, look at those. Even if you're not making calls, 5 real estate conversations a day,
yeah,
have that on that spreadsheet or tracker, whatever you want to call it. And so that way you can follow through, and Claude will build all that for you. So it'll take it out. You just put what you want. But step 1 would be identifying your 5 lead gen resources of what you want to excel with, that one challenge one, right? So we want 4 that you're comfortable with, and then 1 that's going to challenge you outside of your comfort zone that you will commit to. You've got to commit to it. Just don't say, oh, I'm going to do, again, I'll just do video. I'll do video. I've never done one. And then you never do it. No, 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 no. You
yeah,
have to put in some sort of work to do it. And so what does that look like? Again, these 5 ideas will probably have little ideas bounced off of them, right? They'll kind of start spreading off of each one. So this is where it gets a little crazy, because if you have 5 ideas, it may be like, oh, I've got to do 15 different things. Possibly that's where you want to bring it in a little bit and say, hey, let me focus on just a few so that way I could get moving, follow what's starting to lead, what feels great, where I'm making connections, where I'm having conversations, and I'm getting appointments. Then you could adjust. And maybe that takes 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, who knows, maybe 90 days. But
yeah.
that's where you want to track that and figure that trend out. But you want to look at that weekly so that way you could come back and say, "Ooh, Facebook ad was awesome this week. Let's do it again next week and see if we're following that same trend." If
Yeah.
not, if something else spiked, well, cool. Do it a third week. What's that? How's that third week now? Oh, Facebook ad bounced back up. All right, cool. Let's try the fourth week. Oh, Facebook ad again. Now you've got 4 weeks where Facebook ad was number one in your lead source. Now you're getting momentum, right? So now you guys go from there. So I love it, man. Great conversation with all this today. I think it's gonna help me. So I appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Wait,
I thought you were in awe. Like you're just like, "Oh."
wait. It's gonna do it again. It's gonna do it again.
Make a face, make a face. I couldn't take a picture, darn it.
No. Yeah. Okay, done. Sorry. It's really interesting because I went through a phase like uh, a month ago or a month or two ago or whatever, and I was just concentrated on Fizbos. And I put in so much work reaching out to Fizbos and calling and whatever else. And I did track every number. And I think tracking your numbers helps motivate you as well, by the way. I think it's huge for motivation. And it was not working very well. So I changed, and that's when I did like I think that's when I did like a small Facebook ad campaign. Um, and that worked better. And I was comparing the numbers and I was like, okay, so I put so much time into this one thing and it got very little results compared to this other thing, which worked way better. So I'll focus on that. But I think it's very important that you don't just cancel out the rest. A lot of people will get excited with this new thing that they tried and this new thing that they worked, so let's just do that. It's not what would I say? It's not a replacement, it's more of a supplement. It should be something
Mhm.
else that you're doing on top of other stuff. Because again, Thanos might come around and just snap his fingers and then that thing disappears and you're like, oh no, what do I do now? So um I think that's where a lot of people will struggle, and I think that's how people get deals, but their pipeline's empty. So that's like the fighting for your next deal, not knowing when it's going to come through kind of agent, which is a terrible place to be in. But if you're constantly working on multiple different sources, you should always have something in your pipeline. So, and that's the best place to be in as a real estate salesperson. So, um, yeah, this has been a good one. This has been a good call.
Yeah,
Bit more practical.
always good. Yeah, very practical.
Yeah, yeah. We'd love to hear because, like I've briefly mentioned as well, one thing that might work for me might not work for Jason, vice versa, might not work for you. So I'd love to hear if you have a method of outreach that works best for you. Maybe it's something that's not very normalized. I don't know, maybe it's like events or something or whatever else, but let us know. We always love to hear about this stuff. And I'm always experimenting to teach, not teach, but show my other agents what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working. So maybe you can throw us some ideas and I'll give it a try, see what happens.
Yep. Well, and that's it, man. You gotta look and say, "Hey, what will align with you?" Um, so yeah, no, I think that's well said, and and you gotta shift. That's the other crazy piece because it's like, "Hey, these 5 items may work in 2026, but do they work in 2027? Maybe, maybe not."
Yeah.
And that's where you have to be a smart businessman and woman and assess that and tweak it. And say, all right, hey, I'm going to go with these 4. I'm going to replace number 5 with this. Um, that's where you have to be smart. Or does it shift? Does your Facebook ad go down and yet your calls go up, or whatever it is? So that's why you want to do those 5, so you could be assessing and in the moment and shift when you need to shift. And so your business doesn't go up and down. It stays more level because you're constantly working on those 5 things. And again, if you're working on them once a week, it'll move. But if you work on them every day, it'll move a little quicker. So it's just dependent on your trajectory. So stay focused in what you're doing. If you need help too, let us know. I love, Iain, you mentioned everybody put in the comments, ideas that you guys are doing. It could help anybody. It might help Iain. It might help me. It might help anybody who's watching. So we all need to help each other. And that's what I love about it.
Always. That's what we're here for. So don't miss the next episode.
You should just ask, just stay. Just ask, just stay. You should just ask, just stay. Just ask, just stay. You should just ask, just stay.